Okay, hi everyone. Welcome back to week 3 of Exploring Emotions, Understanding, Expressing, and Managing Your Feelings. I'm Miranda Nider. I am here with Blue Bee Counseling as a supervised clinician. And this week we're going to be talking about building emotional intelligence and healthy relationships. Okay, so we're going to start off with stress and emotional overload. So, stress and emotions are closely connected. With stress, it often leads to negative emotions and emotional states such as anxiety, fear, frustration, irritability, anger, and depression. It can cause negative emotions to persist longer and increase emotional variability. Stress also reduces positive emotions, and low mood can trigger stress, which may lead to anxiety. Also, stress hormones like cortisol can contribute to intense emotional reactions. Um, the physiological response to stress involves two key systems: the fight or flight response and the relaxation response. The fight or flight response is triggered by stress hormones like adrenaline or cortisol, preparing the body to confront or escape danger, with changes such as increased heart rate, rapid breathing, and heightened blood pressure. In contrast, the relaxation response activates um, the um, parasympathetic nervous system, and this helps the body return to a calm state by reducing heart rate, slowing breathing, and lowering blood pressure. While both responses are essential for survival, chronic stress can harm the fight or flight response, and the relaxation response can help restore the balance. Okay, and then signs of emotional overload and burnout. So, emotional overload and burnout are characterized by physical, emotional, and behavioral signs that indicate when an individual is overwhelmed and struggling to cope with the stress. So, with these, we have physical symptoms, we have emotional symptoms, um, some cognitive symptoms, behavioral symptoms, um, excuse me, and decreased personal satisfaction. So, going to the physical symptoms, we have like chronic fatigue, feeling physically drained, some sleep disturbances, so maybe some insomnia or oversleeping. This also consists of maybe some frequent headaches, muscle tension, even some wow, my gosh, um, gastro and intestinal issues as well. This also goes to some increased being more like susceptible to illness. So our maybe immune system is just not doing the best. And with this specifically, these physical symptoms can show up with maybe some overload with work, or a lot of the time kids, students, they get sick around finals time. They're so overwhelmed, they're so stressed that their immune system gets weakened and they become more susceptible to illness. And a lot of illness then surrounds these times. Like when I was very first starting college, I would always get sick the week of finals because I was so stressed with making sure that I did well, making sure that I had everything turned in. I was too overwhelmed. And then with emotional symptoms, so this is feeling emotionally numb or detached, heightened irritability or frustration, some anxiety, some sadness, maybe depression, a lack of motivation or a sense of helplessness or hopelessness, and then feeling overwhelmed by everyday tasks. Um, and then with cognitive symptoms, difficulty concentrating or making decisions, becoming more forgetful or having some memory issues, and having a sense of maybe some mental fog or some confusion. And the behavioral symptoms, we have being more socially withdrawn. We have maybe we're isolating ourselves. And then increased procrastination or avoiding responsibilities, reduce performance at work or in personal life, or maybe in school. And then over um, over reliance on unhealthy coping mechanisms, like maybe some substance use, or maybe it goes back to isolation, where that's our coping skill, but it's not very healthy, and we start to overuse it a little bit. And then decrease personal satisfaction, so a loss of interest in activities that you once enjoyed, or feeling unaccomplished or dissatisfied with your life or with work. Um, and with life, it could be in different aspects too. It could be our social life, it could be our personal life, um, it could be our mental health. Okay. And then managing anger and anxiety. So, with anger, we need to be able to understand our anger triggers. So, notice how you physically react and to feeling angry. Last week, we talked a little bit about identifying how emotions feel in our bodies. And so, with anger, how does this present in our body? Like I said last week, my jaw tenses and I clench my fists a little bit. And sometimes I'll just feel like I need to like throw like my arms or something, just kind of like I need to just release. And sometimes my face starts to feel a little bit warm. I can feel the heat in my cheeks, so I'm starting to kind of feel it up in my face as well. And so identifying and noticing our physical reaction can help us understand, okay, I'm starting to feel this. What just happened? What just triggered that response? And then identify any unhelpful thoughts or beliefs. What what's that negative thoughts coming into our mind? What is fueling that anger, maybe? And then practice healthy communication. Be very open, be very clear, be very honest. But we don't want to assign blame. We don't want to use any derogatory language towards ourselves or to others. Um, a lot of the time, it's not a person that we are angry with or has caused it, it's the situation. And they maybe have helped the situation move along, but doesn't mean that we need to assign that blame. And then uncover the emotions behind the anger. A lot of the time, like how we talked about last week, there's multiple emotions that are usually happening at once. And so think of this kind of as an iceberg. We see the tip is the anger. What else is going on? What other emotions are we feeling? What's kind of causing those emotions? And then when we can identify these, when we can identify our triggers, identify what other emotions are tied to it, identify what thoughts we're having that are just not helpful. And then we can change and use some managing techniques, such as maybe breathing, taking a time out, exercising, using a distracting technique, or we start to kind of reshape and reframe these thoughts that are in our minds. And then going over to anxiety. To help manage anxiety, we have controlled breathing, progressive muscle relaxation. So with this, you're going to pick a muscle in your body and you're going to tense it and tense it and tense it and then just release and relax it. And you're going to do that with different things throughout our body. Maybe exercise is helpful. Some sleep can be helpful as well, but we need to be careful with sleep because we don't want to oversleep. We don't want to have that become an unhealthy coping mechanism. But if emotions are super heightened, if you know that maybe you're running on not a lot of sleep that day, maybe a lot of stuff happened and you're feeling physically drained and tired, taking a little nap can be so helpful. And then again, finding a distraction, maybe being very compassionate to yourself and have some compassionate self-talk. Maybe some calming imagery, thinking of a very calming place and bringing our mind there and letting that kind of help soothe us. And then also just challenging the thought and see, okay, what is giving me this anxiety? What thought is giving me this anxiety? And how can I challenge it? How can I reframe that thought? Okay, and then Some other managing techniques I want to kind of get into a little bit more. So we have a grounding technique, we have relaxation techniques, we have self-soothing. So with grounding, this can look like just being more present in the moment. So grounding can happen through some deep breathing, just taking in the environment and just taking a very deep breath and letting out slowly. And you always want to exhale longer than you inhale. And then taking a shower, maybe getting that sense of feeling the water on your skin. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it warm? Is there maybe a feeling of the tile on the ground? Is there a feeling of the tile when you maybe bump your arm into it on the side of the shower? Is it cold? What's going on there? And kind of just getting more grounded in the moment. Smelling can also be another thing. What are you smelling? Maybe you go out, you smell the flowers, or you have a candle that you go smell, or maybe you're just sitting there and as you're breathing, you just take a moment to recognize and to see, what am I smelling? What senses are kind of going on? And then this kind of goes into using and focusing on your senses. There's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. So you see, you use your senses for each of these. So at first, you name 5 things that you can see, and then you do 4 things that you can feel. What can you touch? What does it feel like? And then you do 3 things that you can hear, um, and then 2 things that um, oh my gosh, I can't remember the senses right now. 2 things that you can smell, and then 1 thing that you can taste. And as you go through this, you start to become more grounded in the moment, in life, in the world, and you become very aware of your surroundings, aware of what is there, what is around you. Another thing you could do is a body scan. This is best done laying down. You can do it sitting. You could do it standing. But you want to just scan your body mentally. So in your mind, you want to start from your head. You want to work down to your toes and just see, okay, my head, what am I thinking? Maybe what does my head feel like? Does it feel really heavy on my pillow? Does it feel pressure? Do I have a headache maybe? And then going down to your shoulders, or even just like your jaw. How is your jaw? Then to your shoulders. Are your shoulders tense? What's going on there? And then just moving down and recognizing what is going on in your body. Another thing too that you could possibly do is hold ice. Get that sensation of something really cold in your hands. It helps you to get your mind off of maybe a moment of just being riddled with anxiety or riddled with fear or even pain, and just taking that feeling and focusing it on the ice in your hands. Another thing too is memory game. Challenge your mind. Try to memorize things. Do you can even do like the card thing of where you find the picture and you want to try to match it. But challenge your memory. It helps get your mind off of what's going on, and it reframes it in a different way. And then going for a walk or a run, and then progressive muscle relaxation, which we talked about through the last slide, where you just tense like different muscles in your body and you slowly relax it and let it go. And then relaxation, this can look like yoga, or meditation, some deep breathing, focus breathing, where you focus breathing. It's pretty self-explanatory. You focus on your breathing. You focus on how it's feeling, how long you're breathing for. Where are you breathing? Are you breathing through your diaphragm? Are you breathing through your chest? Are you breathing through your nose, through your mouth? And just really focus on that. And then some guided imagery. Think of maybe a calming place, or walk through a memory that you have, like a happy memory, and just kind of bring your mind back there and walk yourself through it. Music can also be another relaxation technique. And then we have self-soothing. So we have soothing music, some journaling, self-compassion, You can hug someone, change your environment, take a bath, take a shower, just things that you have noticed that really soothe yourself and follow through with it. Okay, then we have the role of mindfulness and meditation. So, mindfulness and meditation are effective tools for managing stress and emotions. Mindfulness helps by focusing on the present moment, reducing worry and rumination, um, regulating emotions, and increasing self awareness of emotional triggers. Mediation promotes relaxation, reduces stress hormones, improves focus, and encourages emotional healing through self compassion. Together, these practices help create emotional balance, enhance self awareness, and foster inner peace, making them powerful tools for managing anxiety, stress, and anger. Okay, and then we have building emotional resilience. So, building emotional resilience involves self care, mindfulness, health and coping mechanisms, and maintaining a positive outlook in challenging situations. Some key practices include prioritizing physical and mental well being through sleep, nutrition, and exercise, cultivating emotional awareness and mindfulness, replacing negative thoughts with positive self talk, setting boundaries to protect your energy and yourself, and staying connected with supportive relationships. Additionally, adopting a growth mindset, so practicing gratitude, learning from setbacks, and seeking professional help when needed can all strengthen resilience and improve emotional well being. Okay, so the exercise for this week, I want you to work on some deep breathing exercises to regulate your emotional states. This seems so simple, and if you've been in therapy before or know people who've been in therapy before, a lot of the time you hear them just say, "Oh, my therapist said just to take a deep breath." Or even in school, teachers say to take a deep breath, or sometimes your parents say to take a deep breath. But there's a reason why people say it so often. It works. It doesn't have to be the only thing that works for you, but it works. Especially when you really take the time to take a deep breath in and then slowly let it out longer than when you were inhaling. This really helps your body start to regulate. It helps your breathing slow down, which helps your heart rate slow down, which can help your blood pressure decrease. And it all just regulates, and it gives you this sense of peace and relaxation. And then the other thing is to do an emotional management plan. So develop a personalized plan for managing emotions in challenging situations. So, what emotions do you see that stick out to you? What emotions do you want help with? And then through these last slides, you can see, okay, I liked this technique, I like this grounding or this relaxation or this self soothing techniques. And you can find which ones that you want to try and you put that in place in that plan. And you say, okay, these are some things that get me stressed or angry or fearful or anxious. And this is what I'm going to do to help combat that. So I want you to create that plan and I want you to utilize that plan and to bring it into place this week. But thank you guys so much for joining me this week. And I will see you next week for our final class. And these are my references.